Have you ever wondered why the kind, loyal, devoted man, the one who gives everything, ends up alone, while the cold, distant man who barely pays attention is the one she secretly craves, the one she burns for? It's cruel, isn't it? But truth has never been gentle. You can give her everything, your love, your time, your loyalty, even your very soul, and yet her eyes will wander toward the man who doesn't need her. Why? Because in the raw instincts of women, scarcity is the currency of value. The man who doesn't need her is the man she desperately wants to conquer. Arthur Schopenhauer once wrote that love is nothing but a trick nature plays to keep the species alive. And here's the brutal part. The moment you put her at the center of your universe, you are no longer a man in her eyes. You've reduced yourself to a satellite orbiting her instincts, spinning endlessly around her moods. Does that sting? Good. That sting means you're still alive. It means you still have the chance to wake up. And if you're willing to face this, then you're ready for what comes next. Let me strip away the lie that no one dares to speak out loud. Women are not drawn to fairness or kindness. They are drawn to power. And power in the eyes of instinct is the ability of a man not to be owned. From childhood, we were taught to win love, give more. Be romantic, be patient, sacrifice yourself. But Schopenhauer tore that mask off. The more you give, the more you lose. You lose freedom. You lose attraction. You lose her respect. Look at nature. The female never chooses the kindest male. She chooses the strongest, the one who is hardest to reach. Why? Because being hard to reach sends one signal: I have value. I have options. I am not desperate. And in the human world, that law of instinct hasn't disappeared. It's just wearing a suit and tie. In other words, when you text her non-stop, when you apologize for things you never did, when you cancel plans with your friends just to see her, you are sending the opposite signal. I am weak. I have nothing outside of you. You have conquered me too easily. And here's the harsh truth. Her instincts don't care about gratitude. They don't measure fairness. They only measure strength. If you collapse into devotion, if you crown her as your purpose, her desire begins to rot. You become safe, predictable, a pet she can keep in a drawer whenever she feels like it. Why do you think so many men are abandoned right after marriage settles in? Not because they stopped loving, but because they handed over their crown, placed it on her head, and became servants in their own kingdom. The man she once admired for his independence has now transformed into a luxury pet. Modern men in big cities fall into this trap all the time. They're educated, successful, some even making six figures. But in love, they act as if effort is a currency that can buy desire. They think if they just give more, she will give back. But instinct doesn't respond to fairness. It responds to scarcity and tension. Think about the men women whisper about in secret. They're not the good guys who are always available. They're the ones too busy living their mission to be chasing. They're the ones who smile at her anger, then go right back to their own path. They're the ones who refuse to bow, and it's exactly that refusal that keeps her restless at night. Quick joke. Do you know the difference between public Wi-Fi and a nice guy? Both are free, and nobody values either one. It hurts, doesn't it? But it's the truth. And once you swallow it, you'll understand real attraction isn't born from making her happy. It's born from declaring, I matter more than you. My mission comes first. I cannot be owned. And now another question rises from this truth. If women are driven by instinct this deeply, does love even exist at all? Or is it nothing more than biology's cruelest illusion? The answer to that question is even harsher than you think, and it's waiting in the next part. So does love really exist? Or is it nothing more than a sweet biological illusion? Schopenhauer was blunt. Love is simply the whisper of the species inside the individual. Sounds cruel, but look closer. When you fall in love, do you really choose her with reason, or are you pulled by her scent, her walk, her smile? Unconscious signals screaming she is fit to carry the species forward. What you call destiny is nothing more than dopamine, oxytocin, and serotonin hijacking your brain. Dopamine sparks the thrill, oxytocin chains you to her, serotonin keeps you obsessed, restless, unable to eat or sleep. None of it is your soul finding its twin. It's just your biology pulling the strings. The brutal part: women are often more deeply wired into this instinct than men. They don't say it out loud, but they constantly test. Is he strong? Is he independent? Will he bend? And if you fold, if you turn love into worship, you're no longer a man in her eyes. You're just a tool. Picture a Roman arena. She sits in the stands watching. On one side, a warrior stands tall, unbroken, willing to die before surrender. On the other side, a man kneels begging for mercy. Which one do you think her instincts will choose? You already know the answer. The tragedy today is that society has brainwashed men into believing the opposite. We're told, win her by giving more, by being endlessly nice, by sacrificing yourself. And so men become nice guys, invisible, forgettable, safe. Women may like them, may even feel comfortable with them, but desire? No. Desire does not grow in safety. Desire grows in tension. Look around modern cities. Men with degrees, careers, six-figure incomes, luxury condos and cars, and yet women still call them boring. Why? Because they've turned themselves into safety nets. Predictable, secure, easy. And no matter how much she denies it, her instinct will push her toward danger, mystery, and the man who makes her feel alive. That's the paradox. Men think they win when they make a woman feel safe. But safety suffocates attraction. Fire only burns when there is oxygen. And in love, oxygen is distance, uncertainty, the fear she might lose you at any moment. Does this sound like a game? It's not. It's evolution. Across the animal kingdom, females chase the male they cannot fully control, because that male signals survival. That male means her offspring has a better chance, you might ask. Then what about couples who stay together for life? Isn't that proof love exists? Yes, they exist, but look closely. The lasting ones aren't built on worship, they're built on independent strength running side by side. The man keeps his edge. The woman feels she must keep winning him. The tension never dies. The fire stays alive. Quick joke. You know the difference between a loyal dog and a nice guy? At least the dog excites her when she comes home. The nice guy just makes her wonder what else is out there. Hard to hear. Yes, but only when you accept this truth do you see the bigger picture. Women are not wired to admire fairness. They are wired to admire sovereignty. And this truth doesn't just wreck personal relationships, it shaped history itself. Entire empires collapsed when men forgot it. And that's exactly what we'll uncover in the next part. Do you think all of this applies only to a few failed relationships? No. History has proven again and again when men put women above their mission, they don't just lose love, they lose the very world they built. Look back at the classic tragedies. Samson, the strongest of warriors, wasn't defeated on the battlefield, but in the arms of Delilah. Mark Antony, one of Rome's greatest generals, threw away his power and his empire for Cleopatra, and ended in ruin. From Greek kings to Chinese emperors, how many rulers collapsed not because of enemies, but because of a single smile, a single glance from a woman? Schopenhauer wasn't joking when he wrote, "When a man marries, he gives up half of his rights and doubles his duties." The moment you make a woman the center of your universe, you stop being the creator and become the servant. And history shows clearly a man may serve a nation, an idea, or an art, but the moment he serves a woman, he's crushed by her instincts. Why? Because women do not admire the man who abandons his mission for them. They might dream about it in novels, but in reality, instinct despises it. A king who gives up his throne for love sounds romantic on paper, but in her biology, it sounds like weakness. If he cannot hold his crown, how can he protect me? Admiration dies, and when admiration dies, so does desire. That's why the paradox always repeats: the more you love her above yourself, the faster she pulls away. The more you sacrifice for her comfort, the more she quietly despises you. And this is not just about marriage. It bleeds into every corner of a man's life. Think about modern men. How many have abandoned dreams, buried talents, and silenced passions, all in the name of keeping the relationship safe? How many once had fire but ended up sitting in front of the TV drinking beer waiting for dinner? Because she didn't like me chasing that anymore, and then one day she cheats with the reckless coworker who's still chasing his own mission. Quick joke. People say behind every failed man, there's a woman who told him, "Be safe, don't take risks." It hurts, but it's true. A woman will never say it directly. "I'll leave you if you give up your mission," but her instincts will know. She can't admire the obedient man. She can only crave the untamed one. And if history teaches us anything, it's this: even empires fall when men forget to guard their crown. We live in a culture that praises the good husband, the good provider. But Schopenhauer saw through that illusion. Being too good is often the fastest road to ruin. Too giving, too forgiving, too eager to please. You think you're building peace, but in reality, you're digging a grave for attraction, respect, and your very dignity. Here's the truth. No one dares say out loud, women don't actually want you to sacrifice your edge for love. They want you to keep it so they still have a reason to love you. A man without mission, without freedom, without edge, will eventually be abandoned no matter how much she claims to love him. Because in her biology, she cannot desire what she has already tamed. So the real question emerges: if love is only instinct, and instinct always rebels against weakness, can men ever truly find lasting happiness with women? Or is it always a game rigged against us? The answer, merciless but freeing, waits in the next part. So what path is left for men? Is this just a rigged game of instinct where we're doomed to lose? The answer lies in a paradox. You only win when you refuse to play by their rules. Schopenhauer once wrote, "A man can be himself only as long as he is alone." Why is solitude so powerful? Because only when you can stand alone, only when you no longer need a woman to feel whole, do you break free from the trap her instincts set for you. When you don't need, you are free. When you don't need, you are dangerous. And that's exactly when women are drawn to you. Not because you chase them, but because you're too focused on your own mission to care. Your purpose, your work, your craft consume you. She becomes a guest in your life, not the foundation of it. This doesn't mean you must hate women or turn into some cold machine. It means this: you must put yourself, your mission, and your dignity above her. Love her if you want. Give to her if you choose. But never hand over the crown. The crown belongs to you and only you. Here's the mistake most men never understand. They think not caring means being rude, manipulative, or cruel. Wrong. Not caring means not being owned. It means if she walks away, you are still yourself. It means you can laugh at her anger, stay calm in her silence, and walk away if she crosses the line. That is power. Picture two men. The first panics when his girlfriend doesn't text back for 1 hour. He floods her phone with apologies, calls 5 times, begs to know what he did wrong. The second, she goes silent for a day, and he goes to the gym, dives into his work, meets with his friends. No accusations, no begging, no fear. Which man do you think keeps her up at night, restless, burning? You know the answer. And here is the core truth. A woman cannot truly love you unless she admires you. She cannot admire you if you are conquered, and she will never respect you if you put her above your mission. This is why across civilizations, the greatest men, warriors, philosophers, artists, all kept a distance. They could love, they could enjoy, but they never forgot. Women are a test, not a salvation. They knew if they gave everything, they would lose everything. Quick joke. Do you know what Netflix and an overly attached man have in common? Both keep auto-playing the next episode, long after no one's interested. It stings, but it's real. The truth is not that you must abandon women. The truth is you must guard your sovereignty. You must learn to stand firm even if she leaves. You must have the strength to look into the most beautiful eyes you've ever seen and say, I will never lose myself for you. Because once you hold that core, you step outside the game. You are no longer a puppet of biology. You become free. And freedom in the eyes of women and in your own soul is the ultimate attraction. But freedom is never cheap. It demands solitude, rejection, even ridicule from society. Are you willing to pay the price? The answer to that question decides whether you become just another man tamed into silence or one of the few who still wears his crown. Look back at everything we've uncovered. You see it now. The more you love without limits, the more you sacrifice, the harder you try to make her happy, the faster you lose yourself. And once you lose yourself, you lose her too. That is the brutal, unchanging paradox. Schopenhauer called love the sweet chain of the species. It fools you, convinces you that your highest purpose is to keep one woman satisfied. But the moment you orbit her, she turns away. The moment you keep yourself at the center, she comes back, or she doesn't. But either way, you remain whole. This is the essence of manhood: to live without needing a woman's permission, to love without surrendering your mission, to give without giving away your crown. Maybe right now you're sitting alone in your apartment, remembering the nights you were ghosted, the times you were left behind, the relationships that died even though you gave everything. Let that pain fuel you. It didn't come to destroy you. It came to wake you up. And when you wake, you'll see you are not alone. There are millions of men like you, men who lost themselves, men who were broken, but men who are standing up again, not to hate women, not to run from love, but to reclaim their crown, to stop being slaves of instinct and to become masters of themselves. One last joke. You don't need to be some leather jacket bad boy on a Harley Davidson to be attractive, but at least don't be the Uber driver of your own life, just driving everyone else where they want to go while you stay lost. If these words struck you, remember this journey is not about getting better with women. It's about living as a free man. And if you've woken up, don't keep it to yourself. Share it. Pass it on. Let another man escape the trap too. Don't subscribe because you're a fan. Subscribe as a pledge that you will never bow to illusion again, that you'll stand shoulder to shoulder with other men, not as followers, but as brothers. Because in the end, the most irresistible thing in this world is not the love you give away. It's the sovereignty you keep.